Good morning everyone. Today in hashtag how to run for governor we cover chapter 11, so let us begin.
Article 8, Week 11. An ever-necessary militia. Sure, it seems like we have everything under control now, but who knows what tomorrow may bring. This machine we have created in the minds of citizens is why the strong don't take from the weak, when no one else is around. The freedoms we hold dear only work within the confines of a state which protects them, and just as we couldn't know piety without first knowing virtue, we can't reach liberty without first having freedom. The state affords us freedom, while the nation nurtures our liberties. As all poodles are dogs, but not every dog is a poodle, all liberty comes from freedom, but not all who are free exercise liberty. One relies on one state to provide the 4th/5th and the nation the 5th/5th, as without either, we would all be but 3/5ths of men. We can't expect the nation to fight all our battles, and we need some type of insurance just in case state or county government is nowhere to be found. Citizens need a force to ensure that, if order were to break down, it will soon be restored. After such emergencies, citizens need to know that eventually they may return to their daily activities of going to work, coming home, going to sleep and continuing that process to pay taxes. This militia is made up of civilians who had been subject to military training, because we would hate for our last resort to be ineffective, or should we say not as effective. Thus, an ever-necessary militia is elected where the governor appoints an adjutant-general and staff, while the legislature passes laws against opposition to the bearing of arms.
Being elected by others subject to duty in the military, our ever-necessary militia knows how to follow orders and execute decisions, theoretically as any other sober mind would. Taking up arms is a serious and difficult decision, because someone lies in the line of sight on the other end of the weapon. The governor's orders make it a lot easier, because we know we are not the ones to enforce capital punishment unless threatened, of course. We would be lost without the orders to stand down or stand fast, so we replicate military rank and file in civilian communities prepared to take up arms for our state and await orders which hopefully never come to fruition. So, no, we don't want a militia unless we can control them, but order must be maintained in civilian society, and who better than elected ex-military citizens, as not all veterans have the mental stability to be as peaceful, patient, and orderly as others. Thus, the militia is made up of the best post-military service who will serve. It is more of an honor than a responsibility, but being trained their default in most any situation will revert back to their training in combat. The militia is like a private boys' club for veterans, though now women, we are sure, have entered the ranks as in every other sector of government and public life. The privilege of the honor outweighs the responsibility of duty, which is so few and far between that hearing from the governor is only a faint possibility, but a possibility, nonetheless.
Funnels are especially necessary in the distribution of information, whereas the governor appoints an adjutant-general and staff through which he or she communicates to the militia. As a last resort to what we hope never transpires, the adjutant-general alerts their staff, who inform the militia of any insurrection or invasion which they must suppress at all costs. Without the communication link, the militia would have no direction and would be just another gun club with barrels being pointed every which way but the right way. This information forces militiamen to fall in line with the proper attitude necessary to complete any operation successfully. In this we see how a John Rambo in Tennessee is as unlikely as someone falling through a floor with joists 16 inches on center or busting through a wall, just ridiculous. The militia would step in Rambo's case, where not only law enforcement but also the civilian militia would prepare to subdue those who are obviously out of order. The Kool-Aid man would take down a whole wall before breaking through one hole, because walls like the government are reinforced. The communication to reinforce order is always a much-needed security for the office of the governor.
This organized body of ex-military citizens can only be in favor of the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and for legislatures passing of laws against those opposed to bearing arms. The right to bear arms is paramount in the militia, because their organization and structure can theoretically suppress any smaller force. See, the militia ensures each member has a firearm, or perhaps, it is a prerequisite, but at any rate, just as with Native Americans, we know what has been distributed. The distribution of firearms has been so since the beginning. Would anyone who had 3 rifles sell 2 to a potentially opposing force? We should think not, because there is less chance for one to defeat 2 than 2-1. And so in like fashion we monitor the distribution of arms and the election of members into the militia. If there is a spike in gun sales, there is also an increase in those elected to the militia, so the governor may meet any force with at least an equal and opposite force. The calculation of firearms and ammunition provided a window into Native Americans' camps, so the administration knew how much assistance to send to a fort or community to repel such forces. But as in Vietnam, we didn't know how much arms and ammunition was being sent to the Viet Cong by the Soviet Union, nor French support to the natives. So, in the States, our militia promotes firearms and monitors sales to their own best interests.
Our ever-ready and necessary militia is an elected body where the governor appoints the adjutant-general and staff, while the legislature passes laws against opposition to the bearing of arms. How else would order be best maintained than by those proven to be willing, able, and obedient to the laws of our nation and state? This body of ex-military citizens must have order where answering to the governor communication from and to them is handled by an appointed adjutant-general and staff. And being who they are, the strategy is less of a plan than just strength in numbers.
That is all we have for today. We will entertain any questions before pop quiz number 2, after which we will see you back here again next Monday at the same time.